President, please be seated.
អង្គជំនុំជម្រះប្រកាសបន្តកិច្ចដំណើរការនីតិវិធីសកម្មការ
The court is back in session. Now the chamber will commence to hear 2 TCW 858. Court officer, please invite the witness into the courtroom. President, good afternoon, Mr. Witness. What is your name? Witness, my name is Mom Soon. President, thank you, Mr. Mom Soon. There is no Mom Soon, I mean the name, in the document. So who is Hein Samut? I have two names, and the name refers to me. Question. So what is your official name? Answer. My official name is Mom Soon. President, what about Hein Samut? When do you often use this name? In the past, you mentioned only the name Hein Samut, and you did not state that you have another name, Mom Samun. Mom Soon, rather. Witness. Let me clarify. Before I started work, I used the name Hein Samut. And the name was, I mean, Hein Samut was used at that time, and because at that time there was problem with the processing of the document, I was asked to use the name Soom. President, what is your birth name? Answer. My birth name is Hein Samut. President, when were you born? Answer. I was born on the 24th of February 1956. Question. Where were you born? Answer. I was born in Mai Bong village, Nam Tao sub-district, Phnom Srok district, Battambang province. President, what is your current address? My current address is in Mai Khang Bong village, Nam Tao sub-district, Phnom Srok district, Ponti Minjay province. Question, what is your current occupation? Answer. Currently, I am a rice farmer. Question, what are your parents' name? My father's name is Oi Samuel, deceased, and my mother Chim Yan, deceased. Question, what is your wife's name? How many children do you have together? Answer, I have 4 children. My wife's name is Sim Lun. President, now, which name do you want to use before this chamber to be clear for all of us? Because you have 2 names, 2 different names, and there's no alias for you. So which name you are using now? You want to use now? Answer. In the official document, my name is Mom Suam, and I use this name currently in my work. President, Mr. Mom Suam, to your best knowledge, you have no connection or relationship with the 2 accused and to any other party admitted in this case. Is that true? Witness, that is true. I have no relationship. Question, and I was told that you have already taken an oath. Is that also true? Answer, yes, I have already taken an oath. President, Mr. Mom Suan, as a witness in the proceeding before the chamber, you may refuse to respond to any question or to make any comment which may incriminate you. That is your right against self-incrimination. As for your obligations, as a witness in the proceeding before the chamber, you must respond to any questions by the bench or relevant parties, except where your response or comments to those questions may incriminate you, as the chamber has just informed you of your rights as a witness. You must tell the truth, that you have known, heard, seen, remembered, experienced, or observed directly about an event or occurrence relevant to the questions that the bench or parties pose to you. Mr. Mom Suam, have you ever been interviewed by an investigator of the OCIJ? If you have been interviewed, how many times did it happen? Answer, the interview took place in Phum Thmai, ខាងថ្មីខាងត្បូង village Nam Tao sub district Phnom Srok district in January 2009. Question: before you are here, have you reviewed or read the statement that you made to the investigator to refresh your memory? Answer: yes, I have read already, but I cannot recall all the information in the document. Question: to your best knowledge, does this statement reflect what you have given to the investigator at your home? Answer: I was interviewed by an investigator at that time, but some points were not clear in the document, so I will clarify those points before the chamber. In 1975, I mean 17 April 1975, interrupted by the president, I do not want to know what is in the document, but I would like to ask you whether the document reflects what you gave in the past. I mean, does this statement reflect what you have given to the investigator? I will not go into detail about what you said in the document. You will be asked by parties later on. Witness: I was interviewed by the investigator. The questions were put to me and I provided my responses to those questions. President, once again, have you read this document, or did you read this document in the morning? Witness: yes, I have read it, Mr. President, but I cannot recall everything. President: do you record which name you used during the time that you were interviewed at your home? Witness: at that time, I used the name Heng Samut. President: I think it is not too long from that time until now. Why you used the name Heng Samut when you were interviewed, and now you prefer to use your name Mo Suom instead? Witness: when I was interviewed, I don't think it will cause any problems to me when I used the previous name. President: based on internal Rule 91 bis of the ECCC, the chamber now gives the floor to the co-prosecutors who put questions before other parties. I would like to inform co-prosecutors and civil parties that the combined time for you is half day or 2 sessions.
Good afternoon to Mr. President, Your Honors, Counsel, and everyone in and around the courtroom. And good afternoon to you also, Mr. Mom Suom. My name is Travis Farr. I'm a lawyer with the Office of the Co-Prosecutors. and I'll be asking you a number of questions this afternoon. Now, you covered a number of topics in your witness statement, but I'm going to be focusing on your experiences at the Trapeang Tama Dam work site. So to start with, can you just tell us, to the best of your memory, when you were sent to the Trapeang Tama Dam work site?
Answer. I participated in the construction of Tribunal. I helped build the dam and make the reservoir.
When you first arrived at the Trapeang Tama Dam work site, construction already begun at that point?
Answer. I participate in the Tribunal work site and I carried earth to build the dam west of the bridge.
I'm trying to establish the time you were there. Are you able to give us a month and year when you arrived, or do you not remember?
Answer. I would like to tell the court that upon my arrival at Tribunal, I moved from places to places. First, I worked in the rice field. I could only recall that I started working from places to places in the late 1977 or 1976. Rather, in late 1976 or early 1977. As I stated, I was not thinking of the date at that time, so as I told you, I could not recall it when.
And did you remain at the Trapeang Tama Dam work site until construction was completed on the dam?
Answer. I was working at Tribunal in early 1977, and I left that Tribunal work site in late 1977.
Okay, thank you for that. When you went to the Trapeang Tama Dam work site, did you volunteer to go or were you sent?
Answer. I was removed from the work site. It was the decision by them to send me somewhere else.
Which work site were you removed from?
Answer. I was removed from the unit in the commune. I was assigned to harvest rice at Mo Pu, after which I was sent to Tribunal to build the dam, construct bridges. They could send me anywhere they liked at that time.
And who was it who sent you to Trapeang Tama Dam?
Answer. There was a group chief or unit chief, and they are the one who assigned a workforce to certain location as they wanted. I had to go after they assigned me to any certain particular places. I had to follow the assignment.
So you just said they could send me anywhere they liked and you had to follow the assignment. Why did you have to follow their assignment?
Answer. How could I refuse to go? Although I did not want to go, I had to go anyway.
And why did you feel that you had no choice in that matter?
Answer. If I refused to go, they could say that I was stubborn.
And what did you think would happen to you if they decided you were stubborn?
I object, Mr. President. That's asking for speculation.
Your Honor, I'm not asking for speculation. I'm asking for the witness's subjective perception of his position, which is certainly relevant to the voluntariness of what happened.
President, the chamber overruled the objection put by Mr. Kope, the defense team for Mr. Nguyen Chia. The question can be put by the deputy co-prosecutor, Mr. Winnet. You are instructed to give your response to the question. Counsel Kong Samon, Mr. President, the question has not been yet fully interpreted into Khmer. Perhaps the witness have not received this translation. President, Deputy International Co-Prosecutor, could you repeat the question to be clear for the witness?
Yes, Mr. President, I'll do that. Mr. Witness, can you tell us what you believed would happen if you refused to go and were judged to be stubborn?
Witness, I could not refuse the assignment. If Angka decided the place where I had to go, I had to go because it was under the assignment by Angka.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to ask you now a little bit about the organization and the hierarchy of the workforce at the Trapeang Tamal Dam work site. And can you tell us first which unit you were in?
President, please observe microphone, Mr. Witness.
No.
Witness. The unit that I was in was a mobile unit. at a sector level.
And which sector was the mobile unit associated with? Which sector number?
Và
Answer. It was called Sector 5 at the time. I was in Sector 5.
Do you know who was the overall commander of the Sector 5 mobile unit?
Answer. I could not recall it. I heard there were leaders of Sector 5, but I could not recall his face, or I do not know his face. I knew only that Atavala was the overall leader.
When you say that Taval was the overall leader, what did you understand Taval's position to be?
He was in charge of the sector, in charge of the mobile units at the Tribunal worksite.
Okay, so other than the Sector 5 mobile unit, are you aware of any of the other units present at the Trapeang Tama Dam worksite?
I couldn't grasp the situation there, as I could not contact any other worker from other sectors, and there were many workers on site. We could not go and mingle with other workers from another sector, for example.
Do you have any idea what the total number of workers was at the Trapeang Tama Dam worksite?
I could not answer your question. I knew there were many workers there, but I cannot give you the figure.
I want to ask you now about a person that you mentioned in your statement by the name of Nyao, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. You mentioned him as your chief in the sector mobile unit. And my question is, can you tell us how many people Nyao had under his direct command?
Daniel supervised a big unit, and the big unit actually comprised of 3 small units, and each small unit comprised of 30 workers.
So is it correct then that a big unit, as you use the term, would mean approximately 90 workers?
còn nó đôi chị mình
Maybe it was less, although in theory, yes, it should be 90, but in practice, each small unit comprised of only about 20 workers.
And this, what you call big unit, was that in turn part of an even bigger unit, as far as you know?
As I said, one big unit comprised 3 small units. Mobile units were divided into small units and big units, and within that 3 units formed one big unit. That is my understanding, because I belongs to a big unit and there were 3 small units under that big unit.
Did you ever hear the terms platoon or company or battalion referred to with reference to any of the units in the Sector 5 mobile unit?
President, witness, please observe the microphone. Witness, I don't know the details of the organization of big units or small units. I only knew that a small unit should comprise 30 workers, and then under the small units there were 3 groups, and each group composed about 10 to 12 workers. That's my understanding about the group and the unit that I was attached to.
Okay, so going back to Niao, the big unit chief, did he give you instructions or assignments about your work or any other aspects of your life at the Trapeang Tama Dam work site?
He was chief and he instructed us to do the work, and usually the instruction was relayed in a meeting. He was the one who actually imposed the work plan upon us. And we had to carry out the work plans as instructed, and we had to complete the work plan. He received instructions from the above, and he relayed those instructions to us.
You've just said that he received instructions from above and relayed those instructions to you. Can you tell us how you know about him receiving instructions from above?
Because when he was about to attend a meeting, he told us that he would go to attend a meeting, although I did not know where he attended those meetings. And later on, he relayed to us the instructions on work plan.
You've said you don't know where he attended the meetings. Do you know who he attended these meetings with?
I do not know about his meetings.
Okay. Can you tell us whether Niao remained the big group chief for the entire time you were at the Trapeang Tama Dam work site?
Yes, Niao did that. I was with him during 1977, and later on, I cannot be sure, maybe in late 1977, he disappeared, and I thought that he was arrested because by that time a new group came from the southwest to supervise the work, and most leaders had disappeared, and people fled everywhere. I also fled from the work site, and some workers had been gathered up and returned to the work site. I myself fled to my house.
Okay. I'd like to get a bit more clarity on when Tan Yao disappeared compared to your timeline at the work site. Are you saying that Tan Yao disappeared after the construction of the dam was already complete?
He disappeared about the time that the Tribunal dam website was almost completed. Actually, in general, the construction was completed, but some parts the embankment broke due to the high pressure from the water. So workers were used to patch those parts. And after that period, he disappeared. The situation became serious and people left the work site. There were rumors about this or that and no one was sure of anything as many people had disappeared, and we heard that he was arrested because we was afraid that when our leader was arrested, we would be next.
តំបន់នោះ
At the work site, usually we try to ignore anything else but focus on our work, and we try to be an ignorant.
So you've just told us that you were afraid that when your leader was arrested, you would be next. Why did you fear that you would be next after your leader was arrested?
We were the subordinates. We were simply afraid. And I myself did not have any role to play. I was simply a member of the mobile unit under his supervision.
Okay, so going back now to the time before Tan Yao was arrested, were you ever aware of Tan Yao being in communication with Taval?
He was part of the Taval's group, and as he was also involved in the sector mobile unit, he surely was within the group of Taval. And that is based on my observation at the time. Tanya was part of the circle of Taval.
And you say that's based on your observation at the time. Can you give us the details of that observation that led you to this conclusion?
I said that because I was always on site at the Tribunal dam work site. I did not go anywhere. In the morning, I would attend to the work, and I would return to the sleeping quarter later in the evening. And I made that observation because I noticed the disappearance. And I only kept it to myself and did not discuss the matter with others. I did not dare to speak to others about my observation. And everybody just kept on working at the work site.
តាំងខ្ញុំតាំងគេ
And that applies to every worker at the Tribunal dam work site. We were careful and attentive to our work assignment.
So can I ask, did you continue working after Tanyao's disappearance? And if so, who replaced him as the big group chief?
After Daniel disappeared, I ran away from the work site and I did not know who replaced him. And allow me to repeat it. After Daniel had been arrested, I returned to the base, that is to my house. My body became swollen and I could not work, and because of the chaotic situation that I observed on site, I fled and returned to the cooperative in order to seek treatment for my swollen condition and to avoid being at the work site.
Okay, I think I just have one more question about the structure of your unit. Towards the end of your statement, you mentioned another person named Pan. When you were asked who your group chief was, you answered that it was someone named Pan. Can you tell us who that person is?
Pan
Pan was my group chief. He was the leader of my group and he was the one who led us to work.
And how many people were in that group that you're talking about?
There were 10 of us in my group. However, at present, I do not know if any of them survive. And now I forget the names of those group members.
Okay. I'd like to turn now to the subject of arrests at the work site. And I'd like to start by asking you to clarify something that you said in your statement. And this is in Khmer at page 0027, 9088, English 0028, 9999, and French 0048, 3959. And what you said was, if they wanted to arrest us, they started with a spy and they asked about our parents' or relatives' backgrounds, title, class, or official rank. So my question is, who were these spies and how did you know about their existence?
Mr. President.
President witness, please hold on. And Defense Counsel Copper, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. This morning I objected to a similar question, reading a part of an excerpt and then asking for confirmation. That's not, I think, the way it's supposed to be done, at least not according to the Supreme Court chamber. The prosecution can ask questions if things are unclear or he hasn't testified anything, or there are discrepancies, for instance, but just reading and asking for clarification is basically the same thing as just reading an excerpt and asking for confirmation. So I object to this matter of question.
Thank you, President. Thank you, President. I would like to add my voice to this because this is a question that will be raised again of the following witnesses. Now, I understood and I read the rules that the Supreme Court chamber set out, which were recommendations for the chamber. Now, I understand that Mr. Prosecutor asks who the spies were, but he didn't ask any open questions on arrests in general, and it is only if a witness does not remember what they said in their previous statements, then you can read it to them. it would be preferable to have spontaneous testimony from witnesses as opposed to reading a long excerpt from a previous statement and then a small question following it, and without allowing the witness to spontaneously answer. These were the recommendations of the Supreme Court chamber, and this is also what has been said at the beginning of the trial when we were opposed to the fact that witnesses should be able to read or should not be able to read their previous statements before appearing before the chamber. In any event, it would be preferable to ask open questions to the witness before putting words in their mouth by reading what they said previously in their statements.
Mr. President, if I could just respond. First of all, what I was doing was not reading the witness's statement and asking him to confirm the contents. I was reading him a portion of what he's already said and then asking the first of several clarifying questions on the particular topic. I was essentially drawing his attention to a particular topic and to what he's already said. Your Honor will remember this morning when defense counsel for Nguyen Chia was asking the civil party who he felt was responsible for the crimes, he took him to his, to a translation of his statement and said, "You previously said that King Sihanouk was the one who was responsible for the crimes against you. Why did you say that?" He did not say, "Who do you think was responsible for the crimes against you?" In my mind, that's not an objectionable way to proceed, because if he had said, "Who do you believe is responsible for the crimes against you?" the witness would have probably started with his unit chief. He might have mentioned other people. 5 minutes later, we would have gotten to King Sihanouk, and he could proceed. I just don't think we have that kind of time in these proceedings. I understand that it's not permissible to ask for simple confirmation, and that's not what I'm doing. And just one more comment. I don't want the chamber to be confused about what happened before the Supreme Court chamber. Statements were put to witnesses before the Supreme Court chamber. These were witnesses who were proposed by the Nguyen Chia defense. And witness SCW5, for example, when he was being examined on the 6th of July, sorry, I'm going too fast. When he was being examined on the 6th of July by defense counsel for Nguyen Chia, they questioned him in exactly the same way that I'm questioning this witness. And I can just read an example. And this was a witness proposed by the Nguyen Chia defense. So it's not a cross-examination situation. It's their own witness. They said, "You said in your statement to the investigators that at one point in time you collected about 20,000 weapons coming from Lon Nol soldiers, and that at one point in time you stored these weapons. You've just acknowledged that you were a weapons collector. Where did you store these weapons? And why was it necessary that these weapons were stored?" Summarizing a portion of a statement and then proceeding to ask for clarification. The witness answered. Nguyen Chia's next question was, "In your statement to the investigators, you said that you stored these weapons in a warehouse in a bamboo forest. Is that correct?" That's just a request for simple confirmation. It was then used as the foundation for further clarification. So I think we need to be very clear about situations in which a portion of a statement is put and confirmation is sought versus the use of a statement to direct a witness's attention to something he's already said and to use that as a basis for further examination. That is the efficient way to proceed.
There's a crucial difference between the witnesses that were asked questions in appeal and this witness and other witnesses in this case, so not in appeal, is that all these witnesses read their statements beforehand. They were given by Wesu a copy of their statement. And that is a practice, by the way, and we'll address that matter at another time. That is a practice that was also prohibited by the Supreme Court chamber. The Supreme Court chamber explicitly instructed Wesu not to give any prior statements of the witnesses to the witnesses. And In addition, I would like to say that just giving an example without first clarifying whether I asked the question already in general terms is not very helpful. But more problematic is that this witness and all other witnesses have received their earlier statements, so there's a crucial difference.
Mr. President, thank you for giving me the floor, and I don't want to interrupt unduly my colleague from the prosecutor's office, but I believe there is a question of principle here, and this is a question that will return to haunt us several times, so perhaps it would be best to clarify this question as to what happened before the Supreme Court chamber, and then the trial chamber can make a ruling fully informed. The Supreme Court chamber released a memorandum on instructions on the hearings, however, did not render a decision on the points raised by the Nunchia defense on the use of written records and the reading of these written records before appearing before the chamber. And this was just a memo. So that is the nature of that legal document. I would like to refer to your decision, Mr. Juge Lavergne. Yesterday, you told us what you considered to be the interpretation of this document, and you exhorted us to not use as a general practice the repetitive and extensive quoting of excerpts from written records. I think we should just limit ourselves to these instructions. You have told us that we should not have, or to not quote repetitively and extensively these passages from written records, but I would like to, we should keep the practice that we've had since the beginning of this case, and you should be very careful with what the defense tells you. The Supreme Court chamber did not make a ruling on points on appeal. It was a memo, instructions on how the proceedings would go ahead. Let us be very clear about what happened. I myself used some written records during those hearings to confront the witness to these statements. So we were able to do a lot more than what the defense is saying today.
President, the Chamber wishes to inform the parties that this issue is a repetition of the previous issue, and this is not a minor issue that we have to deal with. And in order to make it clear, all parties are instructed to ask open questions to the witnesses and civil parties, and upon the responses of the witnesses or the civil parties, and if they are contradictory to their previous statement, then follow-up questions can be or can incorporate extract of his or her previous statement in order to clarify the matter. That is the first point. And the second point is that if previous statement is read out, it is more or less similar to a form of a leading question, and that should be avoided. So all parties, please refrain yourself from doing so and ask open questions to the witnesses and civil parties. And as I said, if there is discrepancy, then extract from the previous statement can be used as a follow-up question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, can you tell us?
President, Judge Lavange, you have the floor, and the Deputy Co-Prosecutor, please hold on.
This may just be a question of interpretation, but I heard a reference to statements made subsequently. But I believe that we are referring to statements made prior to a witness testifying, obviously. So it is recommended that open questions be put before referring to any statements made at a prior stage by the witness.
Thank you, Judge Laverne, and thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, can you tell us whether you and the other workers at the work site were monitored in any way?
No.
Answer. We were under watch at the work site. They wanted to know whether we actually worked at the work site. And they assign us a certain quota, for example, 2 or 3 cubic meters of soil to complete per day. And they watch over us whether or not we were active in our work. They had to watch us in order to see whether we could meet the work quota. For example, if we were assigned to finish 2 cubic meter of soil per day, and if we could finish it, then they would consider the work quota. For example, in my group, I did not know who was by, and self-criticism would be held to criticize each other whether there were groups were inactive or whether there were other groups were more active. So as I said, there were self-criticism sessions. Once again, we were under watch every time when we were working at the dam site or anywhere else.
And were you ever aware of any members of your group being arrested?
Answer. I may have forgotten. There may have been arrest at that time, but I could not recall the names or those who had been arrested.
Without asking about the names in particular, do you remember any particular occasion on which you saw someone being arrested?
Answer. Let me inform the court. When we were required to strive to work, or when there was a plan set for us, for example, to complete the dam in 2 or 3 days, incident would happen, and there would be arrests to be made. If they wanted to arrest people, it was easy for the cadre to do so by setting more quota for workers to do. There were incidents occurring at the time.
Do you recall whether any members of your group of 10 people or your larger group of 30 people were arrested?
Answer. I was not able to grasp the situation. I could not recall who had been arrested. I was not attentive to what happened around me. There were 17 April people from the city, that is Phnom Penh. I could not get a full grasp of the situation, and I could not recall fully what happened.
Mr. President, with the Chamber's leave, I would like to put a portion of this witness's previous statement to him in which he describes witnessing the arrest of 3 people.
President, as instructed by the chamber, open question needs to be asked first, or you need to elicit what the witness remembered first before you can do so.
Mr. President, that's what I had been trying to do, given that the witness has, in his statement, described a situation in which he personally witnessed the arrest of 3 people, and given that he is now saying that he doesn't remember that, those were the open questions. I believe there's now a contradiction between his testimony in court and his prior statement that I'd like to put his prior statement to him to see if it refreshes his recollection of this particular event.
President, the chamber has instructed you already, and you can do so now.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, I'm going to read a brief part of one of your previous statement. And for council's reference, the Khmer version is page 00279088. English is 0028 9999, and French is 0048 3959. Sir, this is what your statement says. In one evening, I saw the Khmer Rouge arrested 3 members from my group. I did not know what their faults were. They were hard-working workers. Since they were 17 April people, I do not recall their names now. They made the arrest secretly, and then they trucked the victims away. The victims were secretly arrested and trucked away because my group was in the Sector Mobile Unit. An arrest of a member of the Sector Mobile Unit was made in secret. Does hearing that refresh your recollection about witnessing this event or not?
Answer. Oh yeah, I could recall it now. It happened close to the hall. Truck was driven through the hall. I did not know why they were arrested. I was told that the truck came to arrest people, and I was told who would be arrested. I was told at that time 3 people had been arrested, and these 3 individuals were trucked away. I noticed that the 3 people arrested were very active. I do not know why they were arrested. What were the reason? I was horrified because they were arrested with no justification. I may have forgotten a while ago.
អរគុណដល់ពេល
President, thank you. It is now proper time for a short break, and the chamber will take a break now from now until 3 o'clock. Court officer, please find a proper room for this witness and TPO support staff, and please invite them back to the courtroom at 3